government has decided that the provisions of Chapter 10A will come into force with effect from April 1, 2016, as against the current provision of April 1, 2014.
It gives time for people to work out what the details are going to be, and if there's any difficulty, they'll have a better understanding. So I think that'll be very widely welcome.
There is one tricky one regarding the approving panel. If the approving panel says, well, that this is tax avoidance, then the taxpayer will have no remedy at all in the normal course of appeal.
It's necessary to have GAR, but it's necessary to have GAR in a manner that tax avoidance arrangements are precluded, yet the administration of the Act is fair, non-discriminatory and non-adversarial.
Accepting most of the recommendations of the Parthasarathi Shom Committee, the Finance Minister has deferred GAR till 2016. But will it help allay the fears of investors? That's our topic of discussion on We Mean Business today. Let me introduce our guests on the panel. We've got Mr. B.M. Singh, ex-CBDT Chairman, with us here in the Delhi studio. Krishan Malhotra, Head of Tax Northern Region of Amar Chandan Mangal Das, also joins us in the Delhi studio. Balbir Singh Mastana, Partner, DSK Legal, with us here again in the studio. Alif Fazil Bhoy, Senior Partner, ALMT Legal, Advocates and Solicitors, will be with us from a link from Mumbai. And Gautam Mehra, Executive Director of PwC India, also joins us from Mumbai. So does Mr. C.A. Gupta, Partner, Deloitte Haskins & Sells, again joining us from Mumbai. Many thanks all of you for being with us here on the show. Let me start first by asking a very basic question to all our panelists. Is it just the perfect recipe to get investors back? Has it helped allay the fears of investors? Let me start by asking Balbir that question.
See, I think I am not sure if it's going to be any kind of attractive measure for the foreign investment, in that sense that they can start jumping on that looking India is a great destination because they have deferred GAR. But I think that at least the one big negative sentiment which was created by saying that by 2014 you look into GAR provision and the kind of a GAR provision which were built into the Act were very, very deterrent as far as the foreign investors was concerned. So I think if we straight away look at it, this is certainly one of an indicator that the government want to behave in a certain manner where they want to invite the foreign investors and give certainty on their transactions plus the resultant tax liabilities. But this is certainly not a key that you open the door and people will start pouring in. I think that's not going to happen. And most important part is that since 2016 is quite far away, as on today, the investors who look into it, they look into the current policies for certain reasons. And long-term investors look at a larger picture which may come after 2016. So I think on the whole, it's going to create a positive sentiment, but certainly not going to create an environment that people will start moving in immediately.
All right, Mr. Singh, your sense on how at least the Finance Minister has this time around tried to calm the sentiment of investors, because what we had seen happen with last year's budget was that GAR was seen really as this big monster. And people perhaps also misunderstood the intent of GAR. Would you agree?
Well, you know, I agree with him, and they have definitely uplifted the sentiment of the people, of the investors, and you saw the bounce back in the markets when the Finance Minister announced all this. Only one thing I must tell you, there is a big problem with this. They seem to be kicking the can down the street. They have, of course, accepted a large portion of Shom's recommendations. One thing which they have left for people to interpret is that whichever FII seeks the benefits of the double tax treaty under Section 90 and Section 90A will not be eligible to be outside the provisions of GAR. And the investors who are the non-resident investors have to also come in through the FIIs to get the benefits of the new provisions. Now, all the FIIs seek the benefits of this treaty of the Section 90, 90A, otherwise their income gets taxable in India.
Okay.
Therefore, it will be very difficult for them to not seek those benefits of Section 90 or 90A.
No, are you saying that there's still lack of clarity on the double taxation
They are
avoidance
trying
agreements?
to be clear, but only thing is they're not still made up their mind how they're going to treat all these investors. You know, point is they'll be open to scrutiny and the guard. The investors were coming through FIIs who
Right.
are seeking benefits of treaty.
The double.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that view, Mr. Malhotra? Because is the ambiguity on the treaty versus GAR still there? Because that was the big question mark even when we were talking about GAR.
I think I think I fully agree with him, because if you look at the way the law exists as on date, it is the GAR which overrides the treaty, and there was a recommendation by the committee report very clearly that it should not be the same, but they have not commented upon that, so absolutely silent on this. And second aspect which I would like to add is in terms of Mauritius, as there is still an ambiguity in terms of so long the circular of 2000 is not withdrawn, or so long it is retained and someone is holding a TRC, which is tax
Residency certificate, right.
whether it would still be under the GAR or not. So there is no clarity, and whatever was the recommendation by the committee, we did not see anything coming out in this notification.
India's #1 news app just got even better. Download NDTV's new app, fully optimized for Retina display, full screen view, faster response time, and Sudoku. NDTV's new iPad app. Download now.